We are facing an environment where there has been a tremendous amount of pullback in terms of distributions, in terms of the opportunities to actually be able to allocate capital, because a lot of LPs are sitting on GPs that have a lot of dry powder to put to work, right? So I think one of the challenges with that is that either you've got sort of a very tight fiduciary limitation in terms of how much you can deploy. I think those folks are the ones that are probably in the most challenging space, because if you're suffering from the denominator effect, you literally can't deploy capital, which is not something we would recommend. Others, though, having gone through this before, say back in the financial crisis, have actually shifted from a strict allocation to a range-bound allocation. So that provides them a bit more flexibility. So I think it really depends on how you're governed in terms of how that really plays out for your portfolio. You know, I would say that really they always focus on the 5 main things. I call it STARS: strategy team, alignment returns, and systematic processes. Now, I might say that that last one is probably increasingly important because, you know, there's a lot of concerns about that there's a massive sort of beta, right? There's this tides were all rising, sort of COVID. I mean, everything was propped up. So now you're left with investors that were, do they really have the expertise? Do they have the experience? And that's where the systematic processes comes in, right? What is the ability for managers to continue to replicate and sustain the returns? So I think we're probably spending more time looking at that one. I used to cover private equity and special situations in Asia, and we've seen a tremendous pullback in China. LPs are still, I'd say, investing in Pan-Asian strategies, largely emphasizing India, Japan, Korea. Europe, I think, still is pretty attractive. Really some interesting opportunities there across, private markets, really all private markets. But North America continues to be sort of the biggest area. The US continues to be the largest area of investment. Well, we actually did an analysis recently where we asked ourselves, we've been really focusing on how do you assess, I guess, your exposure across the entire portfolio. And that's what a lot of CEOs are looking at, right? Like, they're not just looking at sort of buckets, privates versus publics, but also how much do we have deployed in the technology industry across the whole portfolio. So we've actually done an analysis there and found that most of our client portfolios have a good, healthy allocation of 3 sectors. One is technology, one is consumer, and one is actually industrials, I believe, if I've got that right. But that's to say, I think, having a good diversification is probably more important. And I would say, too, just challenging what's in technology. So many businesses are tech-enabled, right? And there's so many sub-strategies within technology that I think I wouldn't be overly concerned. It's not like you've got all of your clients investing in, a specific area of technology. That would be too risky. They've been around for a long time, I would say, but I think now LPs have really organized themselves in a way that they can hopefully execute a bit more quickly. And I think that's the key to general partners, is they want somebody that they trust and that can execute quickly, and they can ultimately really leverage the expertise of the GP in the first place. But co-investments, I think, are an area that LPs, particularly ones at scale, are seeking to continue to manage down fees. So that's certainly of interest. Or there's interest in, if you're looking to rebalance your portfolio and, say, sell portions of it, co-invest might be an area where strategically with certain managers, you're looking to ramp up, say, in bits and parts of the portfolio where you don't have a lot of exposure. But I think that, just the demand for co-investments, I feel it's a real attractive quality that GPs can offer to their top LPs. But again, the LPs also have to be able to execute quickly.